The tragedy of the last days. At a time when it's so easy to have wrong theology and to make God look like an idiot. Example number 1.
Understand that one of the signs of the covenant that God had with Israel in the Old Testament was the Sabbath day. Now, I grew up in the Baptist church, and a very traditional Baptist church at that, and I grew up going to Sunday school and vacation Bible school. And when I went to vacation Bible school and Sunday school, they taught me about the Sabbath day. And there was a great debate going on at that time as to what day was the real day to worship God. That debate continues to this day and has existed all the way back to the Old Testament theology as to what is the right day to worship God. In spite of the fact that the New Testament tells us not to give respect of days, we're still debating over what day we ought to worship. I had run into some good friends as a young man that were Seventh-day Adventists, and I still have a lot of friends who worship the Lord on Saturday, which technically is the Sabbath day. And there was a great deal of debate going on with them as to what was the right day to worship God. I have absolutely no problem with anybody who chooses to go to church on Saturday. I have no problem with that. I would never debate that. I would never argue about it. I can pass by the Seventh-day Adventist church and wave and respect and appreciate their right to worship on Saturday, probably because I also worship on Saturday. Yeah, I do. I hope that does not exempt me from an opportunity to serve as your pastor, but I worship on Saturday. I always, ever since I've been saved, I've worshiped on Saturday and Friday and Thursday, and generally on Wednesday too, and Tuesday and Monday as well, and Sunday. Sunday also, I worship on Sunday. I don't have to come to a building to be in worship. I worship the Lord wherever I am and wherever I go.
Notice what this man is saying. This is a very common dishonor God's people often place against His name and intelligence. Notice how many are taken in and fooled by this. They believe that the Sabbath and the whole law of 10 Commandments was given by God on Mount Sinai. They believe that when Jesus came back and died, then these things were done away with. Here is where they make God look like an idiot. If God's children always worshiped God every day before God gave the law on Mount Sinai, isn't it plain that He came down on Mount Sinai to teach His people how to worship Him only one day of the 7? Therefore God and His holy prophets and people were lower than Christians today because they only worshipped Him one day of the week. As a matter of fact, what is being said was that they all weren't too bright either. We worship God every day also, as all the saints, since the beginning of time. But Sabbath worship was more intense, with work and business taken out of the way and all gathering together as one on the same day. That provided unity and suppressed employers from interfering with sacred time. Example number 2. A man posted on YouTube and was attacking the spirit of prophecy. He was contending that God did not speak through Ellen G. White by misquoting a New Testament scripture in Ephesians, which implied that God gave His people all revelations and knowledge already, and that they don't need any more. I then asked this person on the internet, why then did God appear before John the Revelator to give him the book of Revelation a good while later, after the book of Ephesians was written? From that time on, he couldn't see my question, although I repeated it over and over again. He then blocked me from posting on his video comments on YouTube. This man made the Lord look like an idiot. This man was also trained in propaganda. That's why he knew how to evade our questions. Example number 3. Someone told us that no one has to keep the Sabbath because of what David did. In response to Pharisees who accused Jesus' disciples of breaking the Sabbath by picking and eating corn on the Sabbath, Jesus answered them and said, "Have ye not read what David did when he was an hungered, and they that were with him, how he entered into the house of God, and did eat the showbread, which was not lawful for him to eat, neither for them which were with him, but only for the priests?" Many use this to prove that the Sabbath is no longer to be kept. Again, by using this, they are making God look like an idiot. They already told us the Sabbath is not now to be kept because Jesus came and died. But by using the example of David eating the showbread in the temple, they were saying that the Sabbath ended in David's day. If David breaking some sacred rule in his day shows we can break the Sabbath now, it also showed anyone could break it back then. Example number 4. One of the Bible versions made a very tragic translation of Mark chapter 7 verse 19. We're talking about the Revised Standard Version Bible. The translators of that version put their own biases in Mark 7 verse 19 and told the world Jesus pronounced all foods clean then. It says, "And he said unto them, Then are you also without understanding? Do you not see that whatever goes into a man from outside cannot defile him, since it enters not his heart, but his stomach, and so passes on?" This Bible version then tragically adds in parenthesis, "Thus he declared all foods clean." What's really tragic is that food always entered into a man's stomach and passed through without entering his heart. What we're trying to show here is that it is easy to make the Almighty look like an idiot if we cherish prejudice and error in our hearts. God is not the author of confusion. Satan is, and he uses men to accomplish his purposes. His most effective agents are those who take on Christ's name.